Guys, we're back. The insurance panel is back. Well, sadly, if you watched the last video, that you know that Chris Smith is going to do something on his own. Please go watch his channel. It's going to be super awesome with a lot of how-to videos. I think that's kind of where it's going to be based around. Hopefully we can give him a link in the description because he's got super awesome stuff and Chris is super knowledgeable. As always with me, we got Nick Frumkin. Nick, I don't know where you've been in the last couple months. You've probably been traveling again. You always are. But I also probably been doing a lot of sales like you generally are too, and that's how you make your trips.
Yeah.
And then we got somebody new. We got Vince Connell. Vince, you want to say what's up? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. So if y'all don't know the dynamic, Vince and I worked together at a previous company, and Vince is somebody when you talk to him, he's very direct. But the thing is, he really knows his stuff, and he's a super humble and very nice guy. I've watched him knock out like $7,000 or $8,000 in a day on final expense. So the guy really knows his stuff when it comes to final expense. Everything else he's not so good at. I'm just kidding. But final expense, he definitely knows his stuff. And this channel is really predicated around final expense sales. So we, when we found out that we weren't going to have Chris anymore, we were really kind of searching hard for somebody that was going to be a good fit. And I said, guys, I said, Nick, I think I know the right guy. And Vince was happy to come on here and test us out. Who knows? He may not like the way that I comb my hair anymore. He may not like Nick's glasses. Who knows? So just real quick, Vince, give us a brief, a 2-minute story, if you will, Vince, about Vince Connell.
All right. Well, I'm Vince Connell. I'm a final expense agent here in the state of Georgia. I've been doing final expense and insurance in general for the last 6 years. I do a little PNC here and there and dipping my toes into some Medicare as well.
Wow.
Happy
that
to
was
be here.
Yeah, that was 45 seconds. You got another minute and 15 to go. I'm just kidding. Like I said, he's very, very direct. So today's topic is cross-selling. Should you do it, and how do you do it? And what you just said, Vince, actually kind of jumps us right into the topic. So I appreciate you doing that for me. You said you dip into a little bit of PNC. You dip into a little bit of Medicare. I know Nick does Medicare Advantage. I don't really know the difference. So pretend, and not pretend, I'm somebody that doesn't have my health license yet. Should I do it? And how do I do it? And convince me. Like, I want you guys to convince me why I should get that. And then how would I do it effectively and the right way? What you got, Nick?
So this is talk Matt into picking up new licenses for.
Yeah.
All right. So Matt, you should probably get a health license. I would actually advise anybody, if you're watching this and you haven't gotten your licenses yet, go get your life and health license together. It's kind of silly not to. You take one test, same number of questions on the test, whether you take a life or a health. It's just, you get, at least in Pennsylvania, it's an 80-question test, 40 on life, 40 on health, or you can do 80 on life and 80 on health. Yeah. If you want to get them as two separate licenses.
So in my defense, my mentor at my first company that I ever sold, God bless the dead president, and his heritage, but they only told me that I only ever needed my life license, that I should never do health. So I only ever did health or life. And so it's worked out for me so far. But yeah, I know, I see people's paychecks. I know kind of the numbers on how it works, but I haven't really been convinced as to why I should. I get the money, but how easy is it to cross-sell?
I mean, it's not particularly difficult as long as you know what you're doing. The big reason why I think you should have life and health is, honestly, I am a believer that you should be working with a single market. You should be picking a market and specializing in the things that are important to that market. So for me, I sell final expense primarily. That's my bread and butter. That's what I do. And that means that I am working with people who are, by definition, over 55.
Mm-hmm.
By definition, lower income. Usually people who are not owning their own homes. They're usually renters. Frequently, they're people who who are either divorced or have a deceased spouse or have never gotten married. They don't have a husband or wife. They don't usually have a 401k. They don't usually have a lot of savings, not a lot of retirement. There are always exceptions, but usually. And so the only life product that I'll ever be able to sell these people is final expense. They're too old to make an IUL make sense. They don't need term. Maybe they want to buy a grandkid policy for one of their grandkids, but a lot of them, their grandkids are grown. I don't do a lot of life insurance that isn't final expense. I'll do the occasional GUL. I'll do the occasional whole life fully underwritten. But every single person that I meet, they are concerned about their health insurance. They are concerned about their dental insurance. They are concerned about what happens to them if they end up in a hospital. They are concerned about all of these things. These are things that are very real concerns. And if they're over 65, the single most important program to them, other than their Social Security check, is their Medicare. There is nothing they care about more than their Medicare. And so, because you're working with people frequently who are over 65 anyway, it's a really easy thing to say, hey, by the way, I also help people with Medicare. If you ever want to talk to somebody about Medicare, feel free to give me a call. If you have questions about your Medicare supplement plan, feel free to give me a call. It's a very, very easy thing to say. And 75, 80% of the time, they're going to say, hey, I'm on Medicare. Well, of course they are. They're over 65. And then they're going to say, I have questions about my Medicare because I don't have anybody helping me out with it. I had an agent who came here and signed me up, or I'm just getting ready to turn 65 and I don't know what to do, or any number of things. And they're going to say, can you please help me? Because this is confusing and this is hard. And I am worried about this big change. And I want to save money. And it's a really, really, really easy thing to transition to. Now, legally, you cannot cross-sell a Medicare Advantage plan.
So I can't. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I can't be in a house and I sell them a final expense policy, and then I go, let me talk about your Medicare.
Medicare, yeah. You can ask them. You cannot say, hey, now let's talk about your Medicare. That is not a legal thing to say. You are allowed to ask them about their Medicare supplement policies. No laws against cross-selling a Medicare supplement policy. We are not probably going to get deep into the nitty-gritty. It's not a Medicare channel. I mean, I could. If you want me to, Matt, I can get into the details of Medicare and stuff. But
that's something I need to learn on my own.
Yeah.
Get my health license.
Right.
But I'm asking like I am a person that might be watching this video the same as me.
Yeah.
Who just doesn't know it. So generally I can't go and say, hey, I just finished with your life insurance. Let me go talk about let me sell you a Medicare Advantage policy or a MedSup or. No,
because you have to get other licenses. You have to pass AHIP. You have to get certified with Medicare Advantage carriers. You have to get scope of appointments filled out. I would honestly recommend that if you are brand new to this whole thing, don't get your health license, but don't mess with cross-selling to start off with. Get final expense sales down first. Get to where you know what you're doing, where you're not calling your upline every 10 minutes to ask questions. Where you don't worry about how to close a sale. You're doing your business and your business runs. And then add in, and I would start in with Medicare supplements. It's not as natural a fit to the final expense market, but you will run into people who have Medicare supplements, and it's an easier product to learn to start with.
I think before anybody should ever think about cross-selling, of course, they need to be an expert in final expense first.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, I like to say that I'm an expert in final expense. I think I made it into the expert field. I think I know final expense well enough that I can probably
almost there. You're almost there, man.
Just about there. You're getting there though. Soon. Next year.
So don't get my health license yet. Then is that what you're saying?
No, go get your health license. Yes, go get your health license.
I'm kidding. So now let's switch gears a little bit. I know, Nick, you're kind of interested in learning about this whenever I talked to you originally about Vince.
Yeah.
Vince dwells a little bit in PNC. Tell us a little bit about your PNC business, Vince, how you do it, how easy it was to get your license. Is it something super tough? And how you use it to help you cross-sell. I mean, what's it like?
Okay. Well, the PNC license itself, to me, was a little bit harder than the life and the health. And I really haven't used it that much. At a previous company, they'd done little renters policies and stuff like that, so I used it then. But over the last few years, I really haven't even used my PNC license. So me and a partner of mine opened up a PNC office, and he's in the office, I'm out in the field, so I'm not going to take away, from my everyday business of final expense. So I said, well, why don't I just try to sell it out here? So that's what I did. As I'm in the house and I'm, selling my final expense policy, going through a presentation, I just let them know what I do. And if they're not asking me about it, I'm going to ask them because I want to know who they have it with and if I can save them money. Because PNC is more of price driven more than it is value driven, in my opinion. So, a lot of times if they're stretched for money and they're paying $200 a month on their car insurance, I could save them $50 a month and write them a final expense policy, and then everybody takes.
So they keep the same amount of coverages, just at a cheaper price for the PNC.
Yeah.
And then it's an easy sell where they weren't going to be able to buy the final expense policy before you got there, or they might be able to buy more. Where they could buy $50 before, now you can sell them a $100 policy.
Correct. And it's also going to make your business more persistent. If you can cross-sell the Medicare, you can cross-sell the PNC and get the final expense, you're their guy at this point. They don't have a separate Medicare agent. They don't have a separate PNC agent. They don't have a separate final expense agent. It's all one guy. So, they're not going to let anybody else come in behind you and mess that up.
Well, let me ask you this. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I guess it's kind of the same question. Again, I'm asking it like somebody who might be watching this, kind of a devil's advocate. So, Vince, what you're telling me is I can sell both in the same appointment, not like what I just heard from Nick, correct?
What, for PNC and final expense?
I can sell final expense PNC in the same house
all day long.
Okay. There's no compliance issues there.
No compliance.
And the same thing with Medicare supplement. There's no issue with the Medicare supplement. It does when you start getting into Medicare Advantage plans, things get a little bit trickier. But I agree with Vince. And if I've never gotten my PNC license, but it does make sense. I mean, if you think about when you run into people who have State Farm policies or people who have Allstate policies, and they've got their homeowners and their auto and their grandkids. Their grandkids have life insurance policies, and they've got a life insurance policy, and they've got a term policy, and they've got all sorts of stuff, all with this one State Farm agent. I mean, it's not impossible to replace that, but you got to work for it. And even if it's definitively a better idea for them to switch their life insurance, it's sometimes you got to jump through a lot of hoops, and there's a lot of agents out there who aren't going to want to do that. And you'd be putting competing agents through that same headache anytime they came across your stuff. It's
Right.
not a bad way to go.
Think about it this way, Nick. I know we've probably had this conversation on Threads before. I worked at a debit company, collecting premiums when I first got into the insurance business, and they sold fire insurance, they sold life insurance, cancer insurance, all that stuff. So a lot of times if that agent's going around every month collecting that premium and you come in and replace their life insurance, but they still have the fire insurance and they still have the cancer insurance, a lot of times you're going to lose that policy.
Once a month, they've got a chance to try and win it back every single month.
So when I go into a house, I'm going to take it off. Everything.
Yeah. No, that's the way to go. And I was telling Vince before we started recording, I used to have a guy that I would throw PNC stuff to, mostly just for that reason, just to make sure that they didn't they didn't still keep their State Farm agent for anything. You know, I'd go and replace the State Farm policy and then say, hey, call my buddy Jeff. He'll get you a better price on your homeowners and your auto insurance or your renter's policy, and just to get that other agent out of the house completely. You know, and
you know, from a money standpoint, because we're still trying to convince Matt, from a money standpoint, you know, final expense is very front end driven.
Yes.
And P&C and Medicare is back end driven.
Sure.
That's
and just so everybody knows, that's why we're talking about mastering final expense first, because you can get your cash flow up with final expense to where then you're not worried about, you know, not making a couple sales for a couple days, because you can write a couple other policies and that builds your back end money up. Because the whole point of selling, or the whole point of any job, is to eventually retire. And if you don't have any retirement set up, and that's why sometimes when I talk to, what do they call these people, mortgage protection agents, you know, they talk about how much big their premiums are. I'm like, that's cool. What's your renewals? And they say 0. And they say, I've been doing it for 4 years. And I can show them my paycheck for not working anymore. Like, if I don't go to work, I'll show them what my paycheck is, and it blows them out of the water. So it's always good to, like we said, master one thing that gets your cash flow up, whether it be mortgage protection or final expense, it doesn't matter. But there's easy cross-selling opportunities for final expense, P&C, and Medicare. Is that right?
Yeah. No, there definitely are. I mean, and I don't know what the numbers for P&C are, Vince, but I know, like, for example, if you can put 100 policies on the books a year for Medicare supplement policies, okay, and that's not a small number, but it's also not crazy. It's like 2 a week, right?
Right.
You have to be trying. You're not going to run across it accidentally, but still, it's like 2 a week. You know, you're going to be writing somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 in premium, give or take a little bit, in Medicare supplement, which is a good, not insane, but average solid number. But you're probably only making $30,000 first year commission off of that.
Yeah.
But the benefit is you get paid that exact same $30,000 for the next 6 years. So if you do that 2 policies a week, every week for 6 years, well, you're then stacking that $30,000 on top of itself. You know, in year 2, you've made $60,000. In year 3, you've made $90,000. In year 4.
Well, okay. So let me ask you this, because you're smarter than I am. Year 7, what happens to the first year policies that I wrote?
Well, in year 7, you stop getting renewals on those policies. So you have ideally either put them into a new policy because the prices have gone up. And with Medicare supplements, the prices do go up. Or you've written a new client to take their place as your renewals fall. So
you work your book of business once you have it there, and again, you then cross sell them. If you have that book, doesn't matter where you're at. If you have a book of business, you can go back and cross sell, and that's why we say take final expense. And then I even tell the agents, I don't have my health license, but I go, look, take your final expense, work it for 2 years, and then 1 year during open enrollment, go gangbusters, and you have plenty of people to go talk to if you did a good job on final expense.
Right. And that's another thing where compliance comes in, because once they're a client of yours and you're not at the same appointment, compliance is no longer an issue in terms of Medicare Advantage policies. And the difference in how you get paid with a Medicare Advantage policy is it's a lifetime renewal on Medicare Advantage. So after year 6, the renewals don't drop off. You get paid the same. Varies state to state. It's approximately $250, a little more in some states, a little less in other states. It's actually not $250, I think, in any state, but $250. But every year per renewal for life, for as long as you've got that book.
Well, let me ask you this, Vince, because you're smarter than I am on this P&C stuff. We talk about being independent in the final expense market, and also independent in the Medicare stuff, health. What about being independent on the P&C stuff? Like, what does that look like? Do you suggest going captive? You suggest being independent? Like, what's your deal?
Well, it's kind of funny you asked that because we started a captive agency, but I'm not captive. He is because his name's on the building, but we're partners.
Right.
But we really did that because a lot of captives gives you upfront bonuses to help you get started, and it'll basically pay for itself in the beginning, so you don't have a lot of expenses. But I think long term, if somebody's looking to doing this, they should probably try to go independent. Now the difference in PNC, and this is a different topic, we don't have to get into this, but the difference in PNC and health or final expense or any of the stuff we're talking about now is if you do go independent, you have to go up under an aggregator, and then you are LOA to that aggregator. So that
and an aggregator, just for layman's terms, is an IMO.
Similar, yeah.
Got
They
it.
hold all the contracts, but you have to go IMO, or you have to go LOA to them because there's no way to get a direct contract without proven PNC production unless you were captive.
That makes all sense in the world.
So is there a way to get out from under that LOA contract eventually once you've written
with
enough
proof of production?
policies?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, once you can get direct to the carrier, but then you gotta be careful who you sign up under, to make sure you can keep your renewals and stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a whole different world.
Let me ask you this: what do you need to save somebody money on their car insurance? What information do you need? Do you need just a final expense lead card and you can run it? Like, what do you need from?
Okay.
From
So with our system, we can run it, and then we're going to have to, it's going to pull up all their information, their vehicles, their coverages. We just need to know what vehicles, who they want on the policy, and then what the deductibles are and stuff like that, and then we can run it. So I can look at the lead. Like if I'm in a house, I can take a picture of the lead and get my partner at the office to run it while I'm talking to him, going through my presentation, and then he'll take.
You don't need a social or anything like that?
I don't need what?
A social security number?
Mm-hmm. Nope. I just need their name, date of birth, address, and the vehicle, and what coverages.
So if you're good enough, you can save them on PNC, save them possibly on their final expense, and then come back later and sell them on their Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage or whatever health stuff too, right? And save them a little bit more money. And if you saved on all three, that person's going to love you and they'll never go anywhere else.
Correct.
And will probably tell their friends about you.
Yep.
That's the other thing that I like about Medicare. And again, I don't think anybody should start cross-selling to Medicare until they've really gotten good at final expense, unless what you want to do is you want to be a Medicare person, in which case it's a different conversation. You shouldn't be watching our show. You should be watching other people's shows. But the thing that I've found about Medicare, and I've been doing Medicare longer than I've been doing final expense, is that when you do a good job for somebody with Medicare, you do not even need to ask for referrals. Your phone will just start to ring.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say a testament to that. My stepmother, she did it for about 4 years, and she probably has 200 clients. Like she did it super part time. She just did it because she liked to save people money. Like literally, that's it. And she told her clients, I don't work anymore. I'm retired. Every year during open enrollment, her phone rings a lot. Mm-hmm. And she keeps going and signing more people up. And again, it just keeps going and going. So you're absolutely right. You will just start getting phone calls if you do a good job for people.
I have people that I wrote my first year in the business that are still giving my name out to people 6 years later.
Probably just the beard.
Well, it's memorable. But still, like, I've calling me up and saying, hey, Sally told me to give you a call. She said you're the best Medicare agent she's ever worked with. She wants me to get signed up with the same thing that she has. I'm getting ready to retire and I need to know what to do. I get that call.
Hey, look here, getting ready to retire. We talking about a 401k, girl. That's another cross-selling opportunity right there.
That is another cross-selling opportunity, although you would be surprised at how few of them actually have contributed to their 401k.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to retire means I'm turning 62 and a half, and it's time for Social Security. and I
Social
can get it out.
Security, baby.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, you're right. Well, cool, man. Well, I think it's been very helpful. I'm gonna go get my health license. Don't worry.
Go.
About PNC.
What? No, screw PNC. I hate it. I'm kidding. I'm probably gonna get it mainly because it's so simple, especially if you just need a lead card. Like if you just need the person's name, date of birth, like address, and the car, and the coverages, like it's super easy to run a quote.
Most people is just going to let you anyways. If you say, hey, just let me give you a quote, see if I can save you some money. They're going to do it.
Right.
Why wouldn't they? We don't want to save money.
Yeah.
And if it's realistic, and again, whenever I talk about savings with people, if I can only save somebody $20 a month, that doesn't really do anything. I'm like, I'm going to save you $240.
Yeah.
It's $20 a month. $20 a month, $240 a year. That sounds a whole lot better. I'm going to save you $20 a month.
Yep.
I'm going to save you $240, which Miss Jones, if you're on $733 a month in income, that's almost half a check. I mean, we're talking a lot of money here, Miss Jones, and they're going to be pumped up and excited about that. So,
yep, that's how you have to do it. And, back to renewals before we get off here. I know he was talking about the renewals on Medicare. Renewals on PNC on autos are typically every 6 months. You'll get that same check as long as they keep their policy every 6 months, forever, as long as they keep it.
That's interesting.
It's not a bad way. It's not a bad way to go.
Not a bad way of living.
Getting those renewal checks are, it's nice.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. When I looked into the insurance business, and I don't care if you do final expense, whatever it is, I've never seen an unhappy insurance agent after 5 or 10 years because of renewals.
Yeah.
Find me one that is just upset and unhappy about.
I'm very unhappy, Matthew.
Very unhappy. Yeah, well, Vince, that's just you as a person. Not anything to do with your renewals. Your renewals are good. I've seen your house. You got a beautiful house and a beautiful German Shepherd puppy over there. It's a beautiful. You got a 4-wheeler that's got knobby tires. It's crazy. Anyways, this has been awesome. Vince, I've loved having you. You're super intelligent. Nick, you're super intelligent as always. And then there's just me, some guy who likes to do videos with people that are smarter than him, so I can learn a whole lot. I'm gonna go get my PNC. I'm gonna go get my health license. But if you guys like Vince, let us know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, downvote. If everybody downvotes on this video, that means we don't like Vince at all, or they don't like Vince. You're never gonna come back. Okay, but
every downvote is a vote against Vince.
That's right.
But like it if you like Vince, and comment and tell us what you liked.
That's exactly right.
Also, tell us what details we got wrong about Medicare stuff, because I know I was playing fast and loose with some.
We're just waiting for the compliance police to come in. Cool. Well, guys, you're awesome. Please reach out to us if you have questions. theinsurancepanel@gmail.com. Reach out to us. We haven't gotten one in a while because, again, we had to take a little hiatus because we had some stuff moving around, and it's the summer and new jobs and stuff like that. So we appreciate y'all being very patient with us. But we're going to try to be very consistent in our posting again. So you guys are awesome. And honestly, thank you all for reaching out, saying where y'all at, because it means the world to us.
Yeah,
so,
it really does.
It really does. So y'all are awesome. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
See ya.